Hola, soy Dani Mantilla y esto es Kinótico en el Festival de San Sebastián, donde cada día vamos a hablar con el talento nacional e internacional de las películas que pasan por aquí, por Donosti. Y lo hacemos siempre en colaboración con Fred Film Radio. Hoy estoy con los directores, la directora y el actor de la película Kalak, Isabella Eklöf. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Emil Johnsen. Welcome.
Thank you.
Is it your first time in San Sebastián?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the first time. Yeah.
And have you had any time to go see in the city?
We just went out a little bit last night and explored the old town and the Pinchos.
Yeah.
Yeah, very famous here.
It's
And
amazing.
Chacoli as well for
Chacoli, we
drink.
had Chacoli and the cider.
Yeah.
Yes.
People always say amazing things about food and
Yes.
drink here, so you
Yeah.
have to
It's
take
amazing.
advantage.
Yes, totally.
Beautiful.
I wanted to ask you about the origin of this film because it's based on a book by
Yeah.
Kim Leine.
Leine.
When did you discover that book and what said to you? What appealed?
Well, it was actually in my own library. I just found it on a bookshelf, and I read the back side of it, and I was like, why have I bought this book and not read it already? Because like the back text, it just says everything. It's it's the sexual trauma. It's the longing for Greenland and romanticizing it and wanting to be part of it, and it just spoke to me so much that I actually wrote to the author before I read the book. And I said I really want to do this film, and then I read the book, and it was just as amazing as I thought it would be. And yeah.
Did you decide, Emil, to read the book before doing the film, or you said, I'm going to stick to the screenplay?
No, actually, I read the book during the casting process. It was a long casting process, and when I was called to the casting, I read the book. And before the first casting, actually, and I sat up shaking all night and smoking a whole packet of cigarettes. So I knew always when I react with my body, I know that it's a material which is great for me. Yeah.
It's a great book.
I want to read it now.
Yeah.
I'll be right back with you guys. Vamos a ver ahora un clip de El superviviente de Auschwitz, que ya está en cines, la nueva película de Barry Levinson. Volvemos en 20 segundos.
Me interesa su historia. Soy el superviviente de Auschwitz, pero nadie sabe cómo lo consiguió. La chica que dejé en mi país no sabe que estoy vivo.
Quiero convertirte en una atracción.
¡Traidor! Necesito ganar. No puedes, pero puedes sobrevivir.
¿Merece la pena luchar por ella?
I'm curious, did you ever think about doing Kalak as your first film before Holiday?
No, I didn't actually discover it until we were in post-production with Holiday. Yeah.
Cool, because it's a book from 15 years ago or 16.
Yeah, true, but yeah, no, I read it recently.
I want to ask you about sex because you're not afraid to show it in your films, and now there's a lot of discussion about it, because we are a very exhibitionist generation, maybe with Instagram, with OnlyFans, but then in sex, in the movies and television, we have problems. How do you feel about that debate?
Well, I guess it's a difficult question. I think it's important to show all aspects of life. I think it's important to show what actually happens so that people don't have like these weird cliche concepts about it. I don't feel that it has to be exhibitionism, but it is a fine line, definitely.
And what do you think about that as an actor?
I think that the way I perceive Isabella and her movie making is not about showing sex for the sake of showing sex, but it's a part of the story. It's about abuse and power, and in that way, I think it's important to show it. And so, for me, I felt very comfortable in all kind of intimate scenes working with Isabella, and had no problems with it at all. Yeah.
You were talking about the casting process. You said that it was quite long and hard.
Yeah.
Why? How was the search of Jan?
Well, I have this technique where I'm looking for more in an actor than just a talented actor. I need also there to be something for me to explore behind their eyes that relates to the story somehow. So when I cast, I immediately know if they're right or wrong. And I went through all of the great Danish actors, and none of them were quite right. And then we saw Emil, and he was just perfect from the first start. And because there's so much going on in his face as you see in the film. There's so much to explore and so much to learn.
Yeah. I wanted to just see if you had the chance. That's nice to hear.
Yeah, thank you.
It's always nice to hear people talking that way about you. Did you have the chance to talk about Kim before playing Kim in a movie in a way?
Yeah, I did. I spoke with Kim. We met together in Copenhagen, and so I had 2 long conversations with Kim.
And how was the collaboration between you guys?
At the very start, he was very clear that he understands that film is a different medium from book, and he gave me the freedom to do whatever with the material to make it into a different art form. And at the same time, he was great to talk with because I could ask him questions about everything because he's the source, you know. so I could ask him to write specific scenes for us.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. So like, okay. So now Jan is going to the meat market. Write that scene. So that's a privilege when you have an author with the source material also, right?
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, did you have clear the beginning of the film since the start? Because it's really shocking. Did you know that's the way I want to open this story?
Yes, I think that was very important to me that we tried and explore the precise nature of the abuse, because it's a complicated thing when you are subjected to sexual stuff and your body responds. And I think that a lot of sexual assault survivors have this problem, but my body kind of liked it, but I hated it. And how am I gonna work with that? And I think it's often with men and women, but maybe even more with men, they have this problem that, well, I got an erection, so how do I deal with that? You know, people are just gonna say, it's fine, it's all good, you know, but it's not.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to see all those details and to understand them, to understand the depth of the feelings and the trauma.
I think I've never seen Greenland in a film before. Of course, I've heard about the place, but never seen it. How was filming there, and what's so special about them as a culture and a scenario as well?
Well, it's very special, yes.
It is an amazing place to be. It's very rugged and rough and beautiful and ugly at the same time. And it was very open culture to me. I thought like people were, for the most, very friendly and open and easy to connect to. That's
Yeah, also it's you have to remember it's a very tiny country also, like there are very few people just living off the edge of this huge rock, you know, so it's a very like a small town community in a good and in a bad way, because it's easy to get to know everybody quickly, but there's also like a lot of gossip and relationships and stuff.
I remember going to Iceland and someone from there told me, like, all of us know Björk. She's one of us, actually. I wanted to ask you about the state of Danish cinema, because it's crazy, at least with the Oscars. They, in 5 years, they were nominated like 4 times. What's happening there? Why do you think that there are so many voices coming up?
Well, they have a golden combination in the Film Institute, which is, 1, they have a lot of money, so you can throw at directors. 2, they have a very, very tolerant culture. So they don't say, no, oh no, what if we can't give money to this, it's a sex scene and it's something with Greenland, it's sensitive, you know. There's like a very basic culture of tolerance, which is really good for artists, because they just give you the money and you can run with it. and because when you try, if you are afraid, if you start to censor yourself, if you work from fear, then your product is going to be worse, because you're going to try and please everyone and nobody's going to like it, you know. So I think that's a golden combination.
Isabella was talking about fear. What was the scene that made you most nervous before filming?
Well, the first scene that comes to mind is the scene which isn't in the movie. So,
Which one is that?
It was when I was. We were at a statue and I was supposed to yell up to the statue.
Yeah.
I don't know, I felt cringy in my stomach when I had to do that.
It's because the writing was not good. I wrote some lines that did absolutely not work, so we cut it out.
Well, you can edit always.
Yeah, that's always a privilege.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that most of the scenes are the scenes are obviously edited a lot, so there's a lot of dialogue which isn't in. But I felt good doing most of the scenes because they were well written and founded in psychology I could recognize and understand. So yeah.
And last question, what kind of discussions would you like this film to open? If any.
Well, I guess maybe one thing that is driving me a lot, you know, as a person who works a lot about sexual trauma, is the fact that I've spoken in Holiday about female sexual trauma. This is male sexual trauma, and I think there's a huge bin to unpack there of men who have been subjected to sexual trauma and they cannot talk about it because they have to be macho or they have to be fine or, you know, something. And I think if that can open up something for some people, that would be amazing.
Cool. And you, Emil?
I think there's two aspects. Also, this with the relationship between Greenland and Denmark, which is mirrored in the relationship between Jan and his father. But I think, the same which Isabella said about the fight to understand what is love, and can I be loved by someone, and can I love someone if I've been a victim of sexual trauma. I think is a huge and such a complex and complicated matter to experience and to talk about, and it needs to be open and it needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
Guys, you can catch up with Kalak. It's playing these days in San Sebastián and it can win the Golden Chisel. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so
Please
much.
enjoy San Sebastián. Have a lot of chocolate and pinchos.
Yes.
And, well, vamos a seguir aquí en Kinótico con nuevas entrevistas. Kinótico.es, la primera con K, la segunda con C. Hasta pronto.